Welcome to Six Tackles with Gus. What an episode we have coming your way today. Of course, we're presented by our great friends at Tab, who are giving the punters plenty to shout about this NRL season. Women's Origin Thursday night, Magic Round at Suncorp, and then the Origin teams are named. And this time next week, they will be in camp, and we'll be looking forward to Game 1 at Sydney on May 27. Welcome, Gus.
Matthew Thompson, how you doing?
Going well. It's occurred to me that both the Origin teams are going into camp at golf resorts.
Yeah.
Is this a coincidence?
It's a big change from the old days. We played a different type of golf in the old days.
Pub golf?
Yeah. In the old days.
Mm.
I'm a little concerned. I've just had a notification on my phone. I've got a little heart monitor they put in my chest there to monitor my heart. And it says, there's been no communication between your heart device and the app since the 10th of May. So I've been clinically dead for 3 days.
Some would say you
am
haven't got a heart.
Am I dreaming this?
Some would say you're heartless.
Am I dreaming this or am I dead?
It appears that you're okay at the moment.
Anyway.
That wasn't because you're in the middle of that blue between Bracey and...
my heart hasn't responded for 3 days.
We better fix that.
I'm in all sorts.
Gussie's gone. You're a guest at your own wake.
Well, this might all be a dream. I can say anything now.
Your life's been a dream, Gus.
I wouldn't swap it for quids.
You're off to Brizzy early. You're going today.
I'm going today.
You can't get enough of Magic Round.
Yeah, I got a stack of appointments up there. I'm calling the game. I'm calling the Origin Thursday night. I'm calling the second game on Friday night. And then I'll be up there all weekend, come home on Monday. Got a lot of meetings.
So, Gus, apart from this being a rugby league podcast, we're big sports fans, you and I. Where were you when Australia won the America's Cup in 1983?
I know exactly where I was.
Yep.
Yeah. I'd crashed on the back lawn getting home from Mad Monday. I think it was a Tuesday morning, the America's Cup.
Right.
Yeah, and I was crashed on the back lawn, yeah.
Right.
We'd had a big couple of days. We'd had a big couple of days.
Oh, I'm glad I asked.
Yeah.
Who found you on the back lawn?
Eh?
Did someone find you on the back lawn?
No, I found myself. I woke up and I thought, where am I? I was on the back lawn. How I got home, I don't know.
So, they
were the days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in that case, you would have had a day off, as Bob Hawke famously announced to the nation.
My boss never sacked me, no. He wasn't a bum.
Now, the reason I'm asking this is because I've got a bit of an interest. I'll explain in a minute. But it looks like for the first time this century, Australia's going to have a challenger for the America's Cup again.
Oh, really?
Because a business tycoon called John Winning Jr. is backing a bid for the America's Cup from an Australian boat next year. Of course, it was 1983 when we
How
won.
often do they race?
I knew you were going to ask me this. So it's every... So the reason I find this interesting is because going back years and years, I was hosting the old Sports Today show on TUE, and I did an interview with Sandy Oatley, who is the son of Robert Oatley, who owned Wild Oats, and they were looking to put together a bid or a challenge for the America's Cup. So I don't think it's any regularity. I think if you're the holder of the America's Cup, and you say I hold it, and you want to challenge me, I can then lay down the rules of engagement. So I get to determine where it is. I get to determine the nature of the race.
Well, no one ever beat them. That's right. The way it works.
Well, that's right. Because it's a great story if you read back years and years about the America's Cup, because basically it was rigged. But like, if I'm the holder and you want to challenge me, I tell you what boat we're racing. Okay. So I don't think I could be wrong. I don't think it's held at any regular interval. So Australia were looking to put together a challenge all the way back then, but it looks like it's going to happen now. But this is the thing, because if you've seen America's Cup racing now, have you seen what they're racing? Like they're these high tech catamarans. Like, it's a completely different
you know where boat racing is really popular? In New Zealand.
Yeah.
A lot of times I'll be in New Zealand and people are sitting in bars and cafes watching boat racing on TV.
Yeah, Auckland Harbour. Yeah.
You don't see much of that over here, do you?
Anyway, I just thought it was interesting. The reason I brought it up is because I knew Gus had been on the piss for 2 days, and I kind of want him to tell us all about it. 1983.
Mad Mondays were Mad Mondays back then.
It was only 43 years ago.
No mobile phones, no scrutiny. You're actually lucky if you got home by Tuesday. That was the life. They were the good days.
Who were you playing with then?
They were the good days. 1983, I think it would have been Bulldog.
Right.
Bulldog.
Who were the good partiers in that team?
They were world champions. They were the best. We had plenty.
All right, let's get on with the show.
No.
Hey.
No.
That's the rule.
No. Dear.
On the subject of partying, sales of Panadol and Powerade will reach record levels in Brisbane this week. Have a good time.
That's the one thing about Brisbane in Magic Round. It is fair income. Wow. If you've never been there before and you're going there for the first time, you're going to get an experience. Yeah. Not just at the ground, but all around Brisbane. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. And
there's not a lot of sleeping.
It is, it's a test of endurance. It's a marathon. There are some there that are psyching up for it all year and probably practicing all year so that they're there when the gates open and they're still there when the gates are closed. No, Brisbane beer and footy. There's nothing like it.
Love the jumpers. Love the footy jumpers that get around in Magic.
Yeah, it's a great celebration of the game and the fans absolutely love it. So it's a wonderful promotion.
Reason it works in Brisbane, well, a lot of reasons, but one of the main reasons is we're kind of a third into the season and you still wear a T-shirt up there at this stage of the year. The weather's perfect.
The weather's going to be nice. Weather's going to be nice. They've got good horse racing up there this weekend too. So there's a lot happening around Brisbane, and Brisbane's a party city. That's what it is. It's a party city, and they put it on for this weekend.
So Andrew John's going up for the whole weekend, do we know? Or has he banned himself?
He wouldn't last the whole weekend these days.
Salary cap concessions for Perth.
No.
Well, why not?
I don't see what's brought that in.
I'm actually perplexed that they haven't been given salary cap concessions from the outset.
Why?
Because if you're going to bring in a new club, particularly one across the other side of the country, it's important to the game that they can attract players and at least have some element of success. And I know that they're a rival code, but look at the AFL with GWS. They were unapologetic in giving them a lot of concessions. They gave them draft picks, pounded money into the joint to try and make the place work. And I think it probably, there's competing views as to whether it's worked or not. So why should the NRL not follow suit with that?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, they applied for the licence. They came in under the same terms as every other club. The PNG thing is completely different, and that's still to play out yet. But it's a competition. We're all on level footing. That's the nature of the competition. They're one city, one town, one team. Corporately, they should be able to support their team, but under the rules, I don't think they should get any concession from that. In what James Bracey was trying to say, that they'd get some sort of concession on third-party arrangements, not necessarily on salary cap. I don't think they should get extra salary cap, but at the end of the day, the third-party rules are pretty strict, and they've got to be organised by the city. But I would imagine that there are people in and around the team over there that would have had that sorted out anyway. I don't think it needs to be changing the rules just for one team.
What are the third-party rules?
Well, players can get their own sponsorship through their own management as long as it's an arm's length to the club. The club
so it's not capped at any particular figure?
No.
And
some of our star players will be earning extraordinary amounts of money.
Yeah.
Away from that corporately, but it can't be attached, nor can it conflict with any of the club sponsorship.
So the Bears then can't really use it as an acquisition tool because they can't say to you, "Well, I'm going to pay you $400,000 under the cap, but we've got this sponsor who's going to pay you $1 million." They can't do that.
That's the rule that they're probably looking to test.
Yeah. Okay.
That you can't promise it.
Yeah.
See, from a club perspective, it's supposed to be at arm's length. You're not supposed to organise it. So you can't sit down and say, well, this is your contract amount and this is your third-party amount.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So that's up to the manager to go and source that himself there, So, but I think it would be a dangerous precedent to relax those rules, to be honest. But I think there's plenty of opportunity for players that are considering going there if their managers are proactive. I'm sure there'll be plenty of places to source corporate support across there with the advent of a new team. I don't think that'll be a problem whatsoever. The problem for Perth is that we've recently had the Dolphins. We've got the noise around the PNG. So you've sort of got three that are going to be brought in with a very short space of time. And the only place you get them is from other NRL clubs.
That's right.
So it's who's off contract and who's available. And the other NRL clubs have seen this coming, so they've kind of tied up their own players longer term. There's not a great deal available out there. There's not a great deal available out there for any club. You know, so it's really a seller's market at the moment. And, you know, we're really going to see in the next couple of years that the depth across the league test it. Now, in time, that will even out again and will produce all the players enough. But in a short space of time to bring these 3 franchises in this quickly, it's the only place they can get them is off other clubs.
Yeah. How strong's development over in Perth? Well, how strong is the local league?
I think they've got a small junior league over there, but it's been, you know, it hasn't really been nurtured for a long period of time. I often wonder what Perth would look like if we didn't get rid of the Western Reds all those years ago. I thought that was a retrograde step once the ARL had decided to go there to actually abandon that idea many, many years ago. I think it was a popular part of our game. And sporting franchises in Perth in other codes have always been successful. So I'd imagine the Rugby League one would have been successful too. It's a long way across to the other side of the country, and it's a long way from New Zealand. So there's a lot of travel involved. Look, my honest answer, I was just having a bit of fun with Brace the other night because he gets so agitated about it. But, if the league decide to give them some concessions to get them kicked off, well and good. But I was more just having fun with Brace the other night.
Yes, I could see you were winding him up. What's with your new outfit too? You've got like you've got the black on black going. It's a bit of a mafia look that you've taken to these days. You got the black suit, black shirt. It's a bit of Al Capone about it.
I don't know. My missus bought me a black shirt.
You look very intimidating sitting on the end with your rings.
I stained the other shirt.
Oh, did you?
I only had one other shirt, and
the black on black.
I stained it. You don't like it?
Yeah, you look like Tony Soprano. Oh. Don't mess with this dude.
Who's Tony Soprano?
You know, from The Sopranos.
No, I've never watched it.
Really?
No.
Oh, you'd love that show.
Would I?
Oh, yeah, it's a classic.
People have told me that.
Oh, you'd love it. The Rabbitohs will finish.
So you don't want me wearing black on black?
No, it looks good. I'm just saying you look very intimidating.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
I don't intimidate anyone.
No.
My heart's not working, so
you're dead.
I'm actually clinically dead. It's a wonder my doctor hasn't rung me. Goes to his phone too.
Oh, really?
He's asleep at the wheel.
Does the doctor have everyone that he's put these things in? Like, does he get all their heart rates?
Yeah.
So his phone could be going off at any time.
What's the other thing they put in your heart where they triggers your heart?
Pacemaker.
Pacemaker. It's not a pacemaker.
No.
It's just a little monitor.
Yeah.
So they can actually. It sits there for like 4 or 5 years. It just monitors what your heart's doing.
So the doctor can look up any one of his.
Well, it goes to his phone. It's not, it goes to his phone. If there's an alert, he knows straight away, right? Well, this here says it hasn't communicated for 3 days, and he hasn't called me.
Do you think you've been hacked by the Chinese?
Yeah, he might be dead himself.
They've hacked into your heart.
Yeah, I'm clinically dead. What happened 3 days ago? I can't remember.
Did you have a horse run on the weekend?
No, got one running this weekend, I think. Just waiting to see what comes out.
Oh, is this, what's it called, an accidental bid?
Accidental bid, yeah.
Where are you running?
I hopefully running in Brisbane on the weekend in the Rough Habit Stakes, which is a lead into the Queensland Derby.
Nice horse, this one, punters. Gamble responsibly. Rabbitohs to finish in the 4, Gus.
Yes! Well, you couldn't say no. You couldn't say no. Their form is outstanding. And their win the other night over the Sharks without key players was a sign of their depth and a sign of the spirit in the club at the moment. And there is no doubt that the new rules have suited them appreciably. It's really made a difference to them, and they're a very hard side to contain. And the new style of football that we're seeing this year is right up South Sydney's alley. So momentum's a funny thing. Once you get momentum and you get confidence earlier in the season, and you get into your style of football very, very quickly, and it's winning. It builds great confidence. It's a long year, but if the refereeing maintains what it's been doing over the first 10 rounds, they're a real chance of playing in the top 4, no risk.
There's a sense of timing about Souths.
Yeah, well, you got to watch the
better and better as
you got to watch the old coach, mate. The old coach, he's been planning, knows what he's doing. But he's got them going good at the moment. That's a big game Friday night. I mean,
is it what?
Yeah, I'm calling that game. I'm looking forward to that.
It's going to be a ripper.
Yeah, the Dolphin and the Rabbit.
I heard Billy say on his podcast on Monday he thinks Dolphin can win the comp.
They can. Yeah, well, anyone can at the moment, particularly the teams that have got great strike power and great attack, great ball movement. They're being heavily favoured at the moment. The scoring in the game is incredible right at the moment.
There he is.
The old coach, yeah, still going around. How old is he?
About 87 or something like that.
Yeah. I bet he hasn't got a heart monitor. Doesn't need one.
At least he's still alive. Lastly, Luke Metcalf will be a sought-after commodity. Well, I'm a little bit surprised by this. I'm conscious they've re-signed Tanner Boyd, and he's obviously going great for them at halfback, but you would have thought Metcalf would come back and slide into 5'8", but he's back, isn't he? He's back fit. I know he had a setback with a leg injury, but he's been overlooked completely this week. Is he fit?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about his fitness. I don't know where he is with his injury. He had what did he have last year? An ACL or something? Yeah. So he was. I think he was leading player awards and everything.
He was leading the Dally M.
He was having a great season last year. Then he got hurt, and he hasn't played so far this year. And of course, the Warriors are going good. Tanner Boyd and Chanel Harris-Tavita have struck up a good combination. So I don't really know. Not that I'm listening or hearing the media. Or reading the media, but I understand he's been given permission to negotiate for next year, so see how that plays out.
All right, Luke Metcalf. Well, I think
it could be salary cap management too, because it's Tanner Boyd just re-signed, and they re-signed, extended Tanner Boyd.
Yeah, I mean,
and probably deservedly so because he's not good.
Yeah. I think he has played a game or two this year, and I think he might have done a hamstring or a calf for memory.
Okay.
I'm just wondering whether it's got anything to do around some uncertainty around his body, maybe. But good player. I'm sure there'll be clubs jumping out of trees to try and parcel him up. So he's been given permission to negotiate with other teams. All right. A question here from David, asking Gus: is there a world in which New South Wales can accommodate James Tedesco and Dylan Edwards in the same team?
This is you trying to get me to talk about Origin teams. Does this bloke actually exist?
It's on the rundown.
Is it?
Yeah.
No, I know it's on the rundown. You type the rundown.
I don't type the rundown. I bits of it.
Yeah. So what's the question?
Is there a world in which New South Wales can play James Tedesco and Dylan Edwards in the same team?
Technically, no. I don't think I would do that to either player. What are you saying? Play one of them on the wing or in the centres or something? I wouldn't do that.
David's asked the question.
With the six-man bench, it could well be both are in the same squad because it's a pretty hard position to accommodate, but depending on who else you've played in the other positions. I mean, if Latrell was playing in the centres, for example, he can play fullback. So, yeah, it might be an option as a 19th player to have them both in the 19. If it was the traditional 17, I wouldn't have both in the same squad. But as a 19th player, maybe he forms part of that bench just to cover a key position like fullback. And if Latrell's not in the side, if he's injured or hasn't been picked, I'm trying to think of what other player they could pick to play both. Probably the only one really with any fullback experience would be Stephen Crichton, who hasn't played fullback for a long time. So certainly in the 19, you might take both, but not in the same side. And I wouldn't play one of them on the wing just to fit them in and accommodate them. They're not built like Tom Trebojevic, for example, who played in the centres, and Gutherson, I think, played centre at one stage in Origin to fit them in when he was at the height of his career. So, no, it's either or. They're going to have to make a choice. They can't make a bad choice.
No. Well, that's one area in New South. I mean, both states flush with fullback talent.
Well, they've got incredible fullback talent.
Yeah.
Ponga, Reece Walsh, the Hammer, plenty.
I'm going to try and get you on Origin. So you mentioned Brian Tottler's going to be one winger. I mean, obviously there's a round to go. You mentioned Campbell.
You are going to pick teams, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
Well, that's what the punters want. So Campbell Graham, who's your man still?
I like Campbell Graham, yeah.
What about your 5'8"?
We've gone straight from wing to 5'8", crikey.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming the centres are Mitchell and Crichton.
Right. Okay. There's a couple of others there going pretty good.
Okay. Well, no, but I'm handing the stage to you. I'm trying to guide you gently through this process.
I think they've got really good options there. I don't know how fit Latrell is for a start with that back injury.
He's named this week.
Yeah, doesn't mean he's going to play, and whether he gets through this week's game is another thing as well. I mean, they've all got to still get through another round in the medical before they play, so it's fraught with danger picking teams. But you've got Katoni Staggs and you've got Bradman Best, who are both in great form, and they both look like they are Origin players from my perspective. 5'8", well, it's around your halfback, so you've got Nathan Cleary, you've got Mitchell Moses, you've got Jerome Luai, who are probably the three leading picks. You've got the young fella from Canberra who went on the tour last year and he's established himself, and he can play 7 or 6. He can play right side or left side. He's probably a logical pick to be in the 19, depending on who they end up going with the 6. So that looks like your primary halves options at this stage.
Would you have a preference? I mean, Cleary's going to be halfback.
Yeah, well,
I mean, they won with Moses there last year, and then Luai obviously came in, and they weren't able to win the last 2 games. So do you think...
I'm comfortable with any of those combinations. I'm not, even if it's Moses and Luai, if something happened to Cleary, I'm not. They're your primary options at the moment with the emerging young fella from Canberra. So strange. So I think that they're probably your primary options at the moment.
So when we talked about this the other week, you were at pains to point out you need to know how the game's going to be refereed. That game on Sunday, the Canberra-Penrith game, just referee it like that. Just let it go, like we normally would in a traditional Origin game.
Yeah.
So let's say the game will be refereed in that manner. As we turn to the Blues pack, have you got any thoughts there on what they're going to do around the front row in particular?
No idea.
Well, can I ask you what you might be thinking?
Well,
yeah, I've no idea how terrifying this
is. The real story is I haven't thought about it.
Right.
So you've got me blank here. But just to get back about how the games are refereed and the football that we've been seeing, and I know the NRL's tried to come out and say it's no big deal, it's not much different. Statistically, there haven't been that many changes. There have been significant changes. We see it in the data, we see it in the GPS, we see it in the players and the recovery and all that sort of thing as well.
It's obvious just watching the game.
Yeah, you can't get away from the fact, So, but to give you an idea, over the last 4 weeks, these are the scores of the winning teams in those games, all right? These are what you needed to win to score. So 30, 44, 32, 36, 44, 33, 28, 44, 28, 28, 28, 36, 38, 42, 52, 18, 33, 46, 32, 62, 20, 48, 44, 33, 38, 26, 23, 28, 30, 21, 38, 38. They're the scores you needed to win games. In 4 rounds, there's only been one team that's won a game if it scored less than 20 points.
Yeah.
I think that was Panthers, who can probably defend that. I can't remember. But that's the extraordinary amount of points being scored by the winning sides.
The other part of that is the losing teams are scoring big points.
Yeah. Some are. Some aren't. But that's extraordinary.
So what does that say to you?
That defences can't cope at various. This is a game of now fatigue. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So whilst mathematically they might say that 6 agains or penalties are down and they're dropping a little bit, it's because teams are so petrified now to give them away. And the other part is the high contact, all right, which is the force in tackles. They don't want force in tackles anymore, and they've been very stringent on high contact, and teams have been playing for high contact to get penalties. It's, there's a whole game within a game going on there. But it's changed the dynamics of the defensive technique and the speed of the line and all that sort of thing as well. So it's defences get to points where in the game where they can't cope with the amount of ball movement, and sometimes you go a long period of time without the ball, and in that period of time you can concede 3 or 4 tries pretty quickly.
Yeah.
We've seen momentum shifts if the referee, if the tide turns on things like 6 agains and penalties at that time, and one team gets a flow of possession and the other team then starts to get a flow of possession, then they can start to tick over points as well. We've seen comebacks and all that, which is exciting for them. It's not really exciting for the players and the coaches because it's hard work. But there's no doubt it's now a game of fatigue. It's that the fatigue is what you have to manage in the game, and you're going to get to that fatigued point. I thought the game on Sunday between Panthers and Canberra, where the first half was the way it was, It toned down a little bit in the second half. You could see they were both kind of running on empty a long way from home.
And they started to drop the ball for fun after about the hour mark.
Yeah, so it has it's taking its toll. Now, what's Origin going to look like? What is the game going to look like if that's the mentality of the players going in? I'm really interested to see. I don't know what might happen. I mean, we might get out there, it might be 8-6, I don't know. But I don't know how that's going to be policed. At the moment, there has been a tendency over the last month for coaches to be telling teams, we've just got to stop giving away these penalties, which it makes your defence more submissive, which then leads to having to slow it down later on and giving penalties away as well. So there's no doubt the football has changed. Absolutely it's changed. Some people like it. Some people think it's greatly entertaining. It's really hard for the people playing it. Really hard.
So the ref is going to have to allow a little bit of leeway to both states for Origin to be refereed in its traditional form.
Well, he's going to have some form of discretion, or he's going to have to, referee Origin for Origin and referee club matches for club matches. We get a lot of that every year, don't we? We see things tend to early in the year we tend to have a referee blitz about something, and then we get to Origin and we stop it, and then after that we go on life to normal. I don't know that this is going to stop. It's actually increasing. If you look at those things, the winning scores are actually increasing. They're increasing each week, which means what coaches and players are doing to accommodate the fatigue factor and accommodate the defensive responsibilities is actually giving even more latitude to the attacking games. And that's favoured certain teams in the competition who are geared that way. And it's not favoured other teams in the competition who hadn't built their roster or their game around that type of football. So, yeah, I guess...
Do you reckon the coaches know how the game's going to be refereed? The Origin coaches?
I would doubt it. Who are the Origin coaches?
Laurie and Billy.
Well, they're both watching a lot of football.
But do you think they would have spoken to the league?
No, I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so. Well, they don't even know who the Origin referee is going to be yet.
Yeah, but that doesn't
the league might know, but, I don't... Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I'd be asking because particularly with your forward pack and your rotation of your forwards, and I suppose the 6-man bench accommodates that a little bit at the moment, but this could be played at frightening speed, absolutely frightening speed, if defences are going to give the attack the latitude they're now getting in club games. And it's manufactured. I've talked about this before. I think the idea of refereeing is to keep an equal balance between attack and defence. There is not an equal balance now. You can't argue that at all. No. There is not an equal balance between attack and defence.
And that's by design.
Absolutely. It's manufactured. Absolutely. But someone at the league thinks this is the entertaining product that we should have. A lot of people might enjoy it and agree with them. I don't know. But that's up for them to decide. It's up for the clubs then to accommodate. It was just put on so late in the piece and so late in the off-season, whether or not some clubs were forewarned because their coaches were actually on the committee that agreed to all this, and there was only 4 or 5 coaches that I think were on that committee. The rest of the competition wasn't warned at all until very late in the piece, just the week before round 1. Nor did I think anyone really understood the ramifications or just how it would be implemented. And on top of the increased scrutiny around high contact and forcing the tackles. I mean, I've seen penalties where the referee, it's not late, it's not high, you've got to reduce your force. I mean, I've never heard that terminology before in rugby league, but that's the mindset of people there. You can't attack halfbacks, you can't attack kickers, you can't attack people catching the ball, disrupt the rules and all that. The game has changed. It is a different sport now. Honestly, it is a different sport. And you're going to have to accommodate that in the years going forward with your roster management in there. I think, there are several clubs that are probably caught by surprise by what's happened this year, and there are others that have really welcomed the changes and have been able to accommodate it quite quickly.
I hope Origin is Origin though, because that's the perspective we all.
Well, I think but we haven't seen Origin the other way. We don't know. I mean, they might come out and do this exactly the same way next week in Origin or whatever it is in a fortnight's time, and it might be 50-40, and everyone says that's brilliant. How enjoyable. They might watch it all. I don't know. We don't know. All I know is from my grounding and my history in the game, I'm not a big fan of it, all right? But I'm dying.
Well, that's not what
my heart
You're
stopped,
dead.
My heart stopped 3 days ago. No one gives a rat's what I think. my generation's gone, you know.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, and there are people in my generation that played around my era and before my era and that who ring me up and comment, what is this? Why are we watching? I can't watch this sort of stuff. But there are kids and younger people that think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
They watch sport from overseas and basketball and all these sports and scoring and everyone's scoring. I don't know. It's a new product. There's no denying it's a new product. And it's no good even trying to say that nothing much has changed. It's like they're scared to admit things have changed because they have changed. And it's been manufactured to change. No risk in the world.
So back to Origin.
I thought we'd got away from that.
Oh, you did your best. You haven't thought about it, so I'm not going to put you on the spot to pick a team as such. But if you've got any thoughts that you want to weigh in with, sure. I did want to ask you about the two Queensland ones, though. So there's a debate now, it would appear, and I saw Cameron Smith pick Kalyn Ponga at fullback. His form's been undeniable, but it would be... You can't see Walsh losing his fullback spot for Queensland, could you?
Well, that's a really interesting one. When the grand final was played last year and Reece Walsh on that day produced single-handedly the greatest individual performance I've ever seen on a grand final day. Like, to win a game for his team single-handedly was brilliant. You would have thought, well, he's a lay-down misère to keep his rep jersey in any team that goes forward after that. He went and played in the Test series and, I know he's had some injury problems this year with the Broncos, but fit and well, you would have expected him to be there. He's a superstar. I've been saying it since he was 18. I've repeatedly said it here. He's a superstar, and he will be for the rest of his career. So's the other bloke. Kalyn Ponga, he's a superstar. And he too has missed a lot of Origin football over the years through injury. Now, if you look at the two players, Reece Walsh is a machine gun, instinctive, prepared to take risks, doesn't care about the consequences type player. And when it comes off, he's a formidable force. He really is. Where Kalyn Ponga is at the stage of his career where he's much more measured, he's much more predictable, he's much more in control. Which one do you want going into Origin for game one, where you need to get off to a good start? So I think in Cameron Smith has always been a conservative sort of analyst and a conservative sort of player, and he built his career on stability and and his approach to the game and being a real thinker about the game. Is probably thinking maybe game one of the series you go with Ponga to get off to a safe start. And he would have been thinking at the time too, is Munster going to be right? Who's going to be playing in the halves? Now Dearden's gone down. Maybe Ponga gives them that little bit of leadership. Do we go in with Reece Walsh and this exuberant, youthful, let's just do it type attitude, or does Kalyn Ponga give them a more structured, settled, composed introduction into Origin? Again, how's the game going to be refereed? And
but surely
what sort of mentality you want to take into it? You can't pick a wrong choice here.
No.
Well, I'll take whichever one they leave.
But surely Ponga's versatility off the bench is just a no-brainer, isn't it? I mean, you could bring him on and play him in the middle after half an hour.
That's one way to play him, and I think that's probably what will happen. Yeah. But Ponga can play a few positions. Reece probably not.
No.
It'll come down to Billy's nature. I guess there are some Origin games where you're in boots and all, and you've just got to, it's last man standing. You throw your last man in, and you've just got to get out and play to win on every play. But early in the series, does he want to get off to a more conservative and controlled start? And who's he going to have in the halves? Now that it's not Dearden, does he go back to a Cherry Evans? Do you go to a Ben Hunt? What would suit those two players? Which fullback would suit them? Is 3 weeks ago people were saying Munster is not playing well enough to be going into Origin. Well, he put that to rest last week. He came out and bounced out in form, thankfully, and he's going to be there because he's one of the game's elite players, and it was great to see him bounce back to form at this stage of the year, which we all expected he would. So that's really up to Billy and Billy's nature and the character of the team he wants to take into game one. It's a 3-game series. Chances are you're probably going to need both of them at some stage. Chances are New South Wales are going to need both Tedesco and Dylan Edwards at some stage. They've got club games to get through. They've got 3 Origin games to get through. There's going to be, So, it's great to have depth in that position. And of course, the other wild card is Hamiso, who's absolutely brilliant, depending on the halves you've got in front and the hooker you've got in front. So, they're all flushed with choices in the spine. The spines look really good.
And the big one I wanted to ask you, as an experienced Origin coach, when Dearden goes down, he's now got 2 very distinctly different options. You've got the 36-year-old who's played 1,000 Origins in Captain Queensland, or you've got the young gun, up-and-comer, who's had Origin touted for a long time in Sam Walker.
Well, he's got a couple of 30-year-olds. He's got Ben Hunt.
He's got Ben Hunt as well,
He's got Daly Cherry Evans.
But I'd imagine the 2 Roosters blokes are the front runners.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah.
How would you be looking at it?
Billy's shown that he's prepared to go with he went with Robert Toyer last year. I remember last year he picked Robert Toyer for game 1 and people went, who? Robert Toyer had played like 9 or 10 NRL games. And I remember saying on this podcast, at the end of this series, you'll see what a good player Robert Toyer is. And he's proven that in that series and ever since, And
of course, the other thing is he axed Cherry Evans last year.
Yeah. He can be ruthless if he has to be. He'll make a decision on the best interest of the team. So he has gone with youth in the past. Will he do that for game 1? Because he did pick Cherry Evans for game 1 last year. Didn't come into game 2. He went with Robert Toyer from the start, and that was proven correct. These are the questions you should be asking to Billy.
Right, but I'm interested in your take on it. Like, if you're in a similar position, would you go for the up-and-comer who's the future, or would you go for the tried and tested?
Depending on... I think at some stage Sam Walker's going to play for Queensland.
Yeah.
And if you've sort of moved away from Cherry Evans last year, can you go back to him? Yeah, I would probably go with Cherry Evans in game 1.
Okay.
I would probably go with Cherry Evans in game 1. I'd take the safer route in game 1 and then see how the series unfolds from there.
Because Dearden's 6 to 8, so that doesn't get him back for game 2.
I don't think he's going to play this series
it would be a
with that injury. Yeah. So, I'd sort of play it that way. I don't, there's a case for both. Sam Walker's going to play Origin at some stage. No risk in the world. Ben Hunt has provided a versatile role for Queensland for some time now, starting at hooker or covering the halves, and he can even play lock forward. As you said, Kalyn Ponga might be on the bench if they go with Reece Walsh, and he can cover those sort of positions as well. It's an interesting one. If with the choice for game 1, I would probably steer towards Cherry Evans, but that's my nature. Billy Slater has shown he's prepared to back youth. Wouldn't surprise me if he went with a Sam Walker. But, I would go Cherry Evans, but that's me.
I'm really excited, actually, about the teams that are going to be named because there's so many. So normally you get a bit of an idea, a template for both of the teams. I think there could be some vastly different selections for both states this year. I think it's really exciting.
We've got to get through Magic Round, yeah?
Well, of course we do.
We've got to get through, and the way players are dropping, they're dropping like flies. I mean, we had injuries last weekend. We'll get injuries this weekend. There'll be injuries and suspensions this weekend. All this is just wasting our time talking about team selections. It'll just vanish into the ether next week and won't miss anything.
I was walking the precipice. I don't know what I've got, but anyway, there's something in that. On the subject of Origin, Stories of Origin, thanks for all the feedback on Series 5 of Stories of Origin. It's been great to bring you the first 2 episodes of this series. My favourite Origin is the theme of this year's series. Nathan Cleary, first episode. Billy Slater came out on Monday. You'll be surprised to learn that Billy Slater's favourite Origin was Game 2, 2004.
Game 2, 2004. He was offside. He was offside. Can you imagine if the bunker was refereeing that?
I've slowed it down frame by frame, and he was onside.
No, he wasn't. Not by any stretch of the imagination. He was offside.
Have you got a favourite Origin?
Oh, I got a few. They're all great.
Which one? When you think about your favourites, which is the first one that comes to mind?
Probably the last one, because
yeah.
That was special. That was Brad Fittler's last game, and it was my last game, and I suppose that's the one most vivid in your memory. But Sometimes the origins, it's about the build-up and where your team was placed at that time and whether or not, they were favourites or underdogs or where you were playing or who you were playing against, who you were coaching against and what adversity you had going in or how the game was played or what your strategy was going in. And, every origin I ever was involved with, and I was a coach, I'm not a player, but every origin I was ever involved with has its own story. It has its own, it has its own build-up, it has its own beginning and its own end, and it has its own lesson to tell. So they're all very much favourite. If you're looking for, something that's a little bit nostalgic, well, the last game was my last game and Brad Fittler's last game, and that was a wonderful night.
Yeah. That's what I love about doing this series every year because it's such a big part of Australian sports state of origin, but every game is its own story. Like
I think there's some tremendous backstories. Yeah. I mean, someone here at Channel 9 asked me that the other day, which is your favourite origin or which is the favourite one you wanted to watch and all that, and what would that be? And it was a really interesting question. I think Sean Burke sent it to me the other day. He said, can you tell me what was your favourite origin to watch as a fan and what was your favourite origin that you're involved with, And it just so happened to be the first and the last. My favourite origin to watch was the first game in 1980. That I distinctly remember that, and I now know its importance to what was to happen in the next 40 years of the game.
Well, you told us last year it's the single most important game in rugby league history.
In rugby league history. Yeah. In rugby league history, it's the single most important game ever. And had the result of that game been different, had that night flopped from a spectacle, had Queensland not won that game, I wonder where the game gets to.
You may not have picked your origin teams 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, I may still be alive. I may still be alive. My heart may still be working.
Very good. So I've got a bit of an indulgent plug. I've got two more stories of origin interviews to do for this series later this afternoon in that very seat. And two of them are my favourite players ever. Greg Inglis.
Oh, good. We had him on 100% footy the other night. Yeah.
And on Monday, one of my favourites, probably my top three favourite players ever, your former captain, Danny Buderus.
Oh, champion.
How good. If not for Cameron Smith, where would he be in the pantheon of greatest hookers?
I've told this story before. In my time as a coach, I thought Steve Walters was the best hooker forward that I'd seen. I didn't think I'd see another one like him. And then along comes Danny Buderus, and I got to coach Danny, and he was captain of our New South Wales side, and he was phenomenal. And the game's changed. They changed over the decades, and I thought, well, we'll never see another one like that. And then along comes Cameron Smith, and what an extraordinary career. And you go, wow, well, it doesn't get any better than that. And then along comes Harry. Harry changes the game again. Yeah. And and there have been a lot of other really good hookers in and around that, that have favoured one way or the other and have been different sort of players. And what the hookers look like in the future is going to change again, the way this game is played. So I think we're all sort of scrambling at the moment and thinking, well, we need one of them, one of them, one of them, and one of them. And they're ones we don't have at the moment. We need to start working towards that if the game's going to keep continuing on the trend it is at the moment. And I don't see that stopping. I don't see that abating at the moment. So you're either going to have to adapt or die. That's pretty much how it is.
Well, in fact, you're already dead, so there you are.
My phone keeps buzzing. What's happened?
There's not a drama.
Messages going everywhere.
I hope there's not injuries.
No, well, no. Oh, no. There's all sorts of things happening.
So Stories of Origin, wherever you get your podcasts. Gus, 6 tackle trivia. Now, I was actually wondering this before I came in. When was the first Magic
On
round?
Greg Inglis. We had him on 100% footy the other night.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and he was great. He was there talking. He was particularly talking about his great passion. I couldn't believe how he choked up when we asked him the question about Craig Bellamy and what he meant to him. It was really interesting to see, and it sort of talks to the power of Craig Bellamy and the Melbourne Storm and what it meant to those players. And the way he answered that, the way he struggled to answer that question after sitting there so confidently and articulately talking about his career and origin and football and all that sort of thing, but then to talk about someone that had such an effect on him, I think people lose sight of the real relationships behind the scenes between these coaches and these players and what the clubs mean to the players. It's a part of the game I don't think ever gets as much publicity, obviously, as the rest of it, but it's probably... when you read the media and you read what is supposedly going on in clubs, it's totally different to the environment that we're experiencing within the building and the relationships we have with the players. And the game is, you've got to move players and you've got to move staff sometimes and do all that sort of thing. But behind all that is a kind of brotherhood and a relationship there that's extremely important. It's a very, very important part of your life. I mean, our game has an indelible effect on players long into their future, and reshapes their lives. And Greg Inglis is a perfect example of that. And the way he responded to the Craig Bellamy situation, I think it was really special to see. It was, I'm getting emotional about it now, just even thinking about the way he responded on behalf of Craig. So I think that was a great. Anyway, I just want to say that when you mentioned his name.
It's a good point you make, actually, because he's got that tough, gruff exterior, Craig Bellamy. And I've only had fleeting interactions with him throughout all my time in the game. He's a genuinely good bloke.
Champion bloke.
Like, fantastic guy.
He's never changed. He's a country kid, and he's never, ever, ever, ever changed. Hard-working family, hard-working player, hard-working coach. Wasn't a champion player by any stretch of the imagination. He played NRL, he played first grade, which is a badge of honour, and shows how he was talented. But he's made a name for himself in helping other players realise their dreams and coaching in the NRL. And he's, if not the greatest of all time, he's certainly one of the greatest of all time. And it's. And I hope all goes well for him. I hope it all goes really well.
We wish you well, Craig. Six tackle trivia. So Magic Round started in 2019. That's much longer than I thought. Only one player has scored a hat-trick in consecutive Magic Rounds, Gus. Who is it?
Oh, crikey.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, Matt. How's he going to get that? Break, and we'll have a look at Magic Round plus Women's Origin. Tab is giving you something to shout about this NRL season. With Tab's NRL My Offers, get personalised offers on every game this round. Download the Tab app for the NRL. Tab, we're on. Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
All right. One player has scored hat-tricks in consecutive Magic Rounds.
One player has scored hat-tricks.
He did it as a Bronco. He's played for Queensland and Australia, and he changed clubs at the end of last season.
A Bronco?
Yep.
Changed clubs at the end of last season. And he's a try scorer. At the end of last season, and he's a try scorer. A Bronco who changed clubs at the end of last season. Did he play in the grand final?
No.
Okay.
No. He was dropped.
He was dropped?
He was dropped last year. Then he came back. Then he was injured.
Oh. A hat-trick.
He's going good this year.
Selwyn Cobbo.
Selwyn Cobbo. Scored a hat-trick for the Broncos against Manly
really?
in 2022.
Right.
And then again for Brisbane against Manly in 2023.
Right.
Now, before we get on with our preview, we have got our special live podcast on the afternoon of State of Origin 1 from the locker room at Sydney Olympic Park. There are sparing tickets left, but we've got a couple of very, very high-profile guests coming along. Mystery guests. I'm not going to tell you who they are, but it's worth coming along. Photos, autographs, and free food. Six tackles at 9.com.au. Send your questions through to go into the draw. But it's going to be a great afternoon. And even if you're not going to the game, right, I was thinking about this earlier, you could come, be part of our live podcast, and then just because it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, just stay there for the rest of the day, and you've got the best seats in the house to watch the game.
Yep.
So get an early start. Six tackles at 9.com.au. Let's preview Women's Origin firstly. Gus, the Blues are $1.29, Queensland are $3.60 on the tap.
That's extraordinary. That's extraordinary. I mean, the first game was 7-6 until the last minute of play. That's not right. And Queensland, the funny thing, this happens in men's origin, and I think it will happen in the women's origin. And it comes from the fact you're playing the same team a fortnight apart. This doesn't normally happen in club football. It's a special sort of event for the special players. I've often said the losers learn more than the winners. And I remember asking a question of Tamika Upton the other night, that when you sit down and you review the loss, all right, and you'll look at sections of the game where just another pass or another body or a different sort of angle might have made a huge difference. And I said, how many moments were there in the game that you looked at and said, wow, there's a chance we missed, or there's an opportunity we didn't take, or I didn't realise that on the night. That's where we were. And it doesn't matter what game you play. There is always those sort of moments. And it's more the loser that looks for that than the winner. The winner's not really, so it'll be the discipline of the winning team to see what Queensland sees out of the video. So one thing I always tried to do was look at it from the opposition's eyes, not sort of look at it from saying, well, how good were we and how good was it to win, and look at all the things we did good, but what else could have happened? So either as the coach of my team, or I would then try to be the coach of the other team, what else could have happened there? What were other options that we could have taken or could have been taken? And if as the winner you don't do that, you leave yourself vulnerable for the next meeting, and it's more likely that the loser will. And Tamika's eyes lit up. She said there were so many moments we missed. There were so many opportunities we didn't take. Well, you can bet your life they'll be looking for those opportunities again. They'll be trying to recreate those moments in the game where, whatever they were, and they'll get it right the next time. They'll get the next pass, they'll get the next body, they'll get the next angle, and they'll get that right. Now, New South Wales, if they sit and look at their review and just really happy with what they did and we just need to do that again to win, that won't be enough. They're playing against a better Queensland, a team with better knowledge, and with having lost game one, have really reviewed that strongly and know where they have to go. So
at Suncorp.
Yeah, and it's a different beast up there. So look, I think that's a ridiculous price. I really do. I know they were favourites going into game one, but remember, and that was the quality of the performance too, but these girls haven't played any football. They've gone straight into Origin. Their club football doesn't start for a month or two yet. So I think it's a real danger game for the Blues, and I got no doubt that Queensland will be up for it. I got no doubt that they'll seen opportunities in game ones that they should have taken, could have taken, and this time will be out to take. It's whether or not New South Wales have also seen that and are prepared to make the changes or are wary of what Queensland might throw at them. I can't imagine they won't. They're all experienced coaches and experienced players, and a lot of them have been down this road before, but I think the pricing there is ridiculously uneven. You couldn't possibly back, or I couldn't possibly back New South Wales at that price. I'll be cheering for them. I'll be tipping them to win, but Queensland are a real threat. It was only 7-6,
Yeah, I know. And
Queensland led 6-0 for a long time.
It's got that Queensland ambush feel about it, this game too.
Well,
I mean, they'll be expecting them to come hard, but back at Suncorp. Plus, they've been downtrodden for a while in women's origin, so they've got to hit back at some stage. That's what Queensland teams always do.
Yeah. Just looking through the lineups there, they're two really good sides, aren't they? Lauren Brown, Kiria Ratu. Yeah. I thought Millie Elliott, crikey, talk about not playing any football before you come into Origin. She had a baby.
Oh, man.
And came into Origin.
She's an incredible athlete.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible.
All right. All the action.
Great game. Great
Women's
product.
Origin, exclusively live here on 7:30 Thursday night. What a way to start Magic Round. Into the club football. The early game, Friday, 6 o'clock, Suncorp Stadium. Gee, it's a big game for both of these clubs. The Sharks. Well, how do you quantify that last week? Man.
Every team's the same. Every team pretty much in the competition has had a horror day at some stage. And every team in the competition has had a day where they've conceded a lot of points. It's a game of fatigue now. If you get on the wrong side of the fatigue, it's really hard to cope, particularly if you're playing a team that can take advantage of that and use the ball depending where their threats are. And it's a different game now. It's a game that you cannot control just by kick, chase and tackle. It's a game that you cannot control with your defence. And some teams have built their teams on defence and hard-nosed attitude over the last few years, and they're struggling a little bit with the way the game is. You are no longer allowed to control the game with your defence. That doesn't mean defences can't be better than what we've seen, but it's just a different sort of defence these days.
So for Cronulla, Ronaldo's back from an ACL for his first game since the Pacific Champs. Jesse Ramian returns in the centres. Now Blake Brayley hasn't missed a game since 2020 and he's out because of a head knock. That's 139 games in a row. The run has ended.
Yeah, he got a category 1 or something the other night.
Yeah.
So he's immediately ruled out.
So Jaden Beryl's going to come in there and play hooker.
There's been plenty of talk about him with the Origin side too.
And so for your Dogs, Burton's back, King's back, Man is back. Let's see whether Canterbury can roar back to life. The market, $1.53, Cronulla, $2.50, the Bulldogs. Now, this is an unbelievable game in Friday night football. We've already flagged this, but Souths are $2.10 and the Dolphins are $1.75, Gus. Incredible game. Latrell's back in the centres and the same team for the Dolphins, and both teams, they're the teams in the comp that have been suited by this new style of play. I cannot wait to watch this.
They certainly have. And when they get a run on, they're extremely hard to contain. Extremely hard to contain. I mean, Latrell Mitchell's been in awesome individual form. He and Cody Walker down that left-hand side are so dangerous. And both these teams have got so many points in them. This is a game where fatigue factor will play a part. It's who dominates possession at different times. And while they're dominating possession, they will score points. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So I think, on paper, it looks like it's high scoring. Whether it's one team's doing all the scoring or both teams just remains to be seen with the flow of possession. But so far as new rules and the new style of play, these are two teams that have been really well suited in that battle. So, look, I've got a slight leaning towards the Dolphins up there, depending on how Latrell comes back, of course. But South Sydney, it's a good side. And they're really suited to this sort of football. I think it's dead set at coin costs. I think the market is right there, and I wouldn't be surprised if either side wins. Of course, Wayne Bennett, they go up against his old club. Whether mentally he's putting a little bit of pressure on them, whether he's in their heads, you just don't know, do you? The old coach. The Dolphins are going to have to ignore all thoughts of him. He gets into your head, the old coach.
Does he?
If
Mental telepathy.
If you let him. If you let him.
Would you be handing Keon a blue jumper?
He's a player I really like. I really like him. I think he's suited to Origin.
Would you be handing Max Plath a maroon jumper?
He certainly could play a part in the 19.
Okay. Dolphins to win. I'm trying. Saturday, 3 games. Tigers 320. Manly trying to continue this incredible run at $1.36. Terrell May's back. They've changed the hooker. Latu Fine, who's going to come in. Coruscant still suspended. And now Jamal Fogarty's come back into the lineup with Joey Walsh dropping to the interchange bench. He's certainly made an impact, hasn't he?
So Latu Fino is going to play hooker.
Correct.
Wow. Okay. Well, they were going along terrifically, and then they've had a couple of key injuries and conceded big points 2 games in a row. And that's all it takes sometimes. That's really all it takes in this game. Possession and personnel. We've seen so many injuries across the league. It's possession and personnel, fatigue factor, and Manly, who've been pretty stable right through, have just got this speed factor and they've got this ability to score points, and they were very, very impressive the other night. They were too good for the Bronco. I'd have to favour Manly, I think, at this stage.
All right, Manly to win. Roosters $1.20. Cowboys, what price? $4.50. Well, a lot of that's on the back of Dearden not being there, of course. Lindsay Collins returns. So Clifford's gone to halfback because of Dearden's absence, and Liam Sutton makes an NRL debut at 5'8". Don't know much about Liam, Gus.
Yeah, it's a big game to be making a debut. We saw a young half for the Dragons make his debut on Anzac Day, and that didn't turn out too good for anybody. Roosters, when they get it right, can be quite awesome. Who did they play last week? The Titans. I thought Titans played well in that game. There wasn't much in that whatsoever. But Roosters are in really good form at the moment. They've got so many points in I reckon the Cowboys will be really disappointed with that loss the other night against Parramatta. They're always just getting 6 and 8 points ahead, thinking Parramatta would go away, and Parramatta didn't, and in the end got them in the final minute. That's one that they let go, the Cowboys. So, and they have got great strike power, but I don't think anyone watching the game at the moment hasn't been impressed with the Roosters and what they can do. And if they put their best foot forward, I suspect they'll be too strong for the Cowboy.
So Saturday night footy here on 9 for Magic Round. 7:30 we're on air from Suncorp Stadium for Parramatta versus Melbourne. I've been really impressed with the sort of plucky attitude of Parramatta in the face of all these blokes that are out. That was a big win the other night, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's done a great job. He really has, Jason Riles, with that side. Now, last year and after last season, people were saying, well, they'll just carry on. It doesn't work like that. You just don't keep going up in a straight line. There's little dips and valleys that you've got to get through as well. And it's just as long as you're consistently improving over a long period of time that sort of depicts your future. And they have been in many ways, even despite injuries and that. They keep finding an attitude and they keep finding a style of football that keeps them in contests. And they just frustrated the Cowboys out of it the other night. It was just a never give up, kept attacking and kept playing type attitude. And they finally got the Cowboys in the end. Now, Melbourne Storm lost 6 in a row. Bounced back to scintillating form the other day. They did get things their own way in the first half. They had a lot of possession and they ran in too many points for the Tigers to accommodate. They've got to back that up. We know that once they get on a winning run, they're very hard to beat. I'm quite sure on the verge of Origin. So there it is. So you've got Cameron Munster, you've got Jerome Hughes, and you've got Harry Grant, who were seen as 3 of the best playmakers in the game. But they went through a period there where they were struggling to score points. It's just possession and fatigue is such a big thing in the game now. It's just how the game flows, how it starts, who gets possession in what sort of points of the game, and what effect that has on you.
The market, sorry, I should have mentioned this. I don't know if this will influence your tip, but Para are $2.85 and Melbourne are $1.43. I know they bounced back to form pretty categorically in Melbourne last week, but they're a brave team, Para.
Yeah, of course they're a brave team. It's just that the Storm have had a good record against them in recent times. They've put some big scores on them.
Absolutely flogged them, haven't they?
Yeah, and if they bounce out of the blocks and get to the front early, I think, probably the Storm. I'm not going to tip Parramatta to beat them. I think it'll be. I really like watching Parramatta play. I really do, and they've done a good job. But Storm, and on the eve of Origin selection, I can just see Munster and Grant doing their thing again, and they'll probably have too many points in them.
All right. Early game, 2:00, Suncorp Stadium, Titans versus Knights. Titans $3.20, Knights $1.36.
Yep. Knights last week, that was a big test for them. I said that was a danger game going down to Wollongong, and they were heavily favoured. And for a lot of these emerging teams, dealing with favouritism is often an issue. They haven't spent a lot of time as favourites in games for a long time. So to go down to Wollongong and absolutely, wipe the floor with St George was really impressive, the way they went about it. Another one where, with Dylan Brown and Fletcher Sharp and Kalyn Ponga and these outside backs in Dominic Young and Bradman Best and Greg Marziu. What did he score? 5 last week. 5 last week. It's a nice mobile pack of forwards. I really like their back row. Dylan Lucas, Jermaine McEwen and Matt Croker. They've got Sandon Smith on the bench. They seem to have got everything covered there. Titans, I thought, were really plucky. They had a couple of calls go against them the other night that could have gone either way. In the end, the Roosters got them, and the Roosters always looked they were going to win the game. But the Titans are improving. There's no doubt that their defence is getting better, and we know they've got the strike power. So it's still a danger game for the Knights, who are heavily favoured in this. But now that Kalyn Ponga's back and Dylan Brown's finding his feet, and they've got so much strike power, there's a newfound confidence with them. And I think that they'll carry on their winning way. They'll prevail again. So Knight to beat Titan.
Do you reckon Dylan Lucas's name's being thrown around in the Blues selection meetings?
Well, it should be.
Yeah.
It should be. I'm sure it's up there somewhere.
Now, game of the weekend for mine, 4:05 kickoff, Sunday footy here on 9. Can't wait to call this. Warriors versus the Broncos. Now, the Warriors are favourites here at $1.67. The Broncos are $2.20 for team. Oh, my goodness. Have a look at the team news here. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, Mitch Barnett's back because he was concussed last week. Wade Egan is back. He was concussed. Jeez, I've had some concussions over there. No Nickel Kluster, no Niokore because of neck and concussion issues, respectively. Tuivasa-Sheck's out because of a shoulder injury. Fair income. How many changes? Anyway, they're still a good side. But Adam Reynolds is back in the Broncos lineup. But, I mean, it's not so much the back line. Philip Coates is Xavier's brother. He's going to make a debut on the wing. But they're struggling in the pack. So they've got an all-new front row once again. Preston Ricky's gone to prop. Xavier Willison's his partner. Jaden Hunt's gone to the back row, and Carrigan's still there at lock forward. So they're struggling for manpower up front, this Broncos team, which probably explains why they're $2.20 outsiders for a match at Suncorp.
Yeah, well, that's unusual. I don't know how many times they haven't started favourites when they're playing at home, although it is an away game. Brisbane,
Very true.
Yeah, magic round. Brisbane playing away from home at Suncorp.
Go figure.
That's how it works. Yeah, I like the Warriors. They're a good side, but I'm not writing off the Broncos by any stretch of the imagination here, and I'm sure the Warriors aren't either. This could well be the match of the round. Two really good sides just going through it here. So Adam Reynolds is back. I think that's a big in. It was a bit hard to explain their performance the other night, but Manly just had too much possession and were able to play their own brand of football, and eventually it wears you down. It doesn't matter how well you defend these days. If you haven't got possession, you're going to concede points. It's really, really hard to defend your way to victory. Maybe they'll get better at it as the year goes on. I like the Warriors. I think they'll win that game, which will round off Magic round.
No, there is one more now, Gus.
There's one more. Okay.
If I was a Tab customer and I had $1 on the Panthers at $1.03 and they beat the Dragons, how much would I get back?
Not much.
Was it 3 cents?
Not much.
Penrith are $1.03 and the Dragons are $12.
Well, it's better than bank interest.
Is it?
It's better than bank
Not anymore,
interest.
it's not.
Sell your property and, No, well, history is littered with people who thought they saw a sure thing. This is probably as close to a sure thing as you're ever going to see.
Poor old Dragons.
And the Panthers, had plenty of recovery time after that game in Canberra last week. And the Dragons, they're going through a difficult period. No one likes to see that. They're another team that probably, have spent the last couple of years building a roster to play a certain way and then finding out the rules no longer accommodate that. And it's difficult. See, the new coach has thrown a number of young fellas in, which, can sometimes work for a short period of time. On this occasion, it hasn't worked. But far be it from me to be commenting too much on selections at other clubs. But, and the Panthers are just in rarefied air at the moment. They're just by far and away the best team in this competition.
That first half against the Raiders, that's the best half of footy I've seen all year. That was a sensational opening half.
Well, neither side dropped the ball.
Brilliant.
In a whole half of football. And both sides went at it. I think this is the thing about the game, like the transfer of possession and what the time you get with the ball. You're not getting 6 tackle sets anymore. And when you think about it, 6 tackle sets, when the majority of your ball or possession is kicked from the opposition, it's really only 3 tackle sets because you've got to catch it and they're usually all over you, and then they sprint up on the next play and you don't go very far with that. Then you've got a couple of tackles to work with to see whether or not you want to attack or just get the ball to the other end of the field, and then you've got to set up and get a kick away. So you've gone from playing 3 tackle football to now sometimes playing 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 tackle football, depending on the flow of the game. And once you do that, well, the attacking sides are just too good for the defence. And I've said it 1,000 times it's a game of fatigue now. Mm-hmm. Both those sides put themselves into fatigue on the weekend. They were both very brave. They kept playing football. They really went at it. But it was the control. It was the execution from both sides that was exemplary in that first half. You could see physically, couldn't you? You could see physically the toll it took on both sides in the second half.
Definitely.
It was impossible to go 80 minutes like that, which is my fear for Origin. What's it going to look like if those great players play at that pace and with that sort of execution, in 80 minutes of Origin? I don't know what that's going to look like. But anyway, Panthers will beat Dragon, and Dragon are on a different sort of journey at the moment. So we're going to go with Dolphin to beat Rabbit, Sea Eagle to beat Tiger, Rooster to beat Cowboy, Storm to beat Eel, Knight to beat Titan, Warrior to beat Bronco, and Panther to beat Dragon.
Before we go,
yeah,
there's a follow-up email there for you. I'd like you to read it. That is from our friend Grutzi from Zurich, Switzerland, formerly of Curry Curry, who contacted us last week.
Oh, this is the guy last week?
Yes.
Okay. Just following up Gus's request for further details of my path from Curry Curry to Switzerland. It's quite banal. Is that how you say it? Banal?
Banal.
Banal. So I'll try to keep it brief. After finishing at Curry High School, I moved to Sydney to study law and worked there for years. You could tell he was a lawyer. During a trip to Europe in 2014, I fueled the burning embers of a romance I'd had with a French woman. Is this true?
This is fair dinkum.
This is not one.
This
of
is not made up.
This is not one of these Playboy things, is it?
It's like Bills and Boone.
During a trip to Europe in 2014, I fueled the burning embers of a romance I'd had with a French woman I'd met in Ireland years earlier, who by that stage was living in Zurich. She persuaded me to join her, which I eventually did in early 2016. 10 years later, we're happily married with 2 kids living in Zurich, where I earn a quid trading critical minerals. Trading critical. So he's a lawyer who's trading.
This isn't our usual demographic.
Critical minerals. It's fair to say that no one in my family shares my enthusiasm for rugby league, and the 8 games plus additional NRL on 9 on content on 9 I consume every week tends to wear thin with them by the end of the European summer. How would they be accessing it over there in Europe?
So there's an app. There's an international NRL app that you can subscribe to.
Is there? Okay. So too my consistent request to watch the 1997 grand final as a family every time I've had a few beers. What was 1997?
Newcastle.
Oh, yeah, Curry Curry. Okay. Surprisingly, not even sending my kids to school wearing Curry Bulldogs old boys bucket hats has instilled any sense of pride or curiosity about the game. I suppose that's why I seek solace in emails to Rugby League Podcasting Elite. If Gus would like to hear more, I'm happy to discuss it over a Chinese or a few schooners at Canterbury Leagues Club next time I'm in Sydney. If that doesn't work, I'd settle for an invite to the next annual long lunch with the guys from Oak. Now, he often listens a lot. If not already, please treat the above as tongue-in-cheek. Mit Hörsling Grussen. What's that mean?
I don't know.
Mit Hörsling.
Oh, hang on. Let me Google it.
Mit Hörsling Grussen. I did
That's the
study
best email we've ever got.
Yeah. From Grutzi in Switzerland, formerly of Curry Curry.
Oh, hang on. It's not the
So
right.
he's fallen in love with a girl from Ireland.
Did he the burning embers of romance?
He's fallen in love with a French woman in Ireland. So he's fallen in love
With
with
kind regards, it means.
with kind regards.
Yep.
So he's fallen in love with a French woman he met in Ireland who was living in Zurich. There you go.
How do you think the Swiss school system would take to the kids turning up with Curry Bulldogs old boys bucket hats?
Curry Bulldogs old boy bucket hat.
That's a great email. Grutzi, it's great to hear from you.
You are most welcome to a Chinese at Canterbury Leagues when you're in town.
Very good.
Make sure you make contact.
All right, there you go. Thanks, Gussie. Have a good trip. I'll see you up there over the weekend. That's 6 Tackles with Gus for this week. This time next week, we'll be talking about Origin. How good. And thanks very much to our friends at Tab who continue to support us every week on 6 Tackles with Gus. They're giving the punters plenty to shout about this NRL season. Download the Tab app. Tab, we are on. Chances are you're about to lose. Ta-da!
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.